Why do we keep returning to the same abusive virtual relationships we've been holding on to desperately for years? It's okay, she has a ton of problems and she treats me bad, but I can fix her.
She is very gorgeous to me!
No matter how much we were abused and heartbroken, we will always seem to come crawling back on our hands and knees. Today, we are talking about guilty pleasures of gaming. No, we are not talking about you sneaking onto your console to play Dead or Alive beach volleyball. Nay, these are the games that no matter how bad you or other people say they are, you keep coming back. You just can't get enough. It can be a certain dopamine rush or gameplay loop that you just cannot say no to, even though you really, really wish you could. Somehow, no matter how much you've said you would never come back to the game again, you get seduced, and just like that, you're right back in with your ex. So, let's look into some of these. Let's look at a few games that people might consider guilty pleasures. This is not the full list, but if there's a guilty pleasure in your life, you know what it is, and you know how abusive it can be. So what games do players consider guilty pleasures? This question of what is a guilty pleasure game really requires a subjective answer. Because you, yes you, the player, have to believe the game is either bad or you feel ashamed that you like it so much. In order to get a clearer picture, let's look at a few examples of what might be considered some guilty pleasure games. Maybe your guilty escape is hopping into the cosmetic-filled Battle Royale Fortnite. Why might someone consider this a guilty pleasure game? Well, maybe because it is well past its prime and is only really catered to the millions of children who have played it. Because, let's be real, making your game cater towards children is the way to the real money. They wield the power of their parents' credit card after all. Let alone, Epic just had a massive layoff sweep, but that's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is why these games can be considered guilty pleasures. And it's exactly that. I think a lot of people can see that Fortnite is kind of past its prime. It definitely just focuses on the skins and what can be added into the game so that people can pay their money for it and keep Epic Games making billions of dollars. But I'm sure there are a ton of fans out there who are playing the game thinking of the old days, of what it used to be like. And they probably feel a little bit ashamed that they keep logging in the vain hope that they might get back to those times that they cherished so long ago. Now, maybe you wish to enter a world that is very similar to our own here in real time. Maybe The Sims are your guilty pleasure. I can honestly say I have never tried a Sims game, but I know there are many out there who long for creating another life. These dudes are trying to be all Dwight Schrute, living a secret life online and whatnot. These type of simulation games can provide players with the ability to live out scenarios their current life does not allow for. That can be having different relationships, that can be having a different apartment, having a different friend group, whatever that may be. Now, this seems pretty harmless, right? Why might this be a guilty pleasure? I can't speak from experience myself. I don't think this takes a bunch of explanation, but I'm sure there's some who might feel a little embarrassed that they choose to come home from their life and start living for real in the virtual space. Again, I'm not judging. I have my own virtual vices. Plus, I am definitely not the target audience for this, so don't take my word for it. But it's something that I thought, and looking online, I can see some people have considered this a guilty pleasure for themselves. And I could see why. There are some of those die-hard, will defend this brand on a hill as if they are Leonidas himself. Fans of this brand who have been returning to this game for over a decade. And that's GTA 5. I like GTA. Never really got into GTA Online, but I recognize that a lot of people like it. However, I could imagine there are probably many people who consider this their guilty pleasure. It had just been so long with the same game, sure, with updates along the way for GTA Online, no doubt. But I can only imagine that there are some people who are fans of Rockstar and GTA just in general, who would hop on the game and feel a little bit ashamed that they're still playing the same game that came out so long ago. Yeah, you can add updates over and over, but at the end of the day, you're playing a game that's over a decade old. It's fine to come back every now and then, but there are people who logged onto this thing like daily. and they kept doing the same things or the little updates here and there over and over. And I can't imagine that every one of them felt absolutely prideful of what they were doing. I'm sure that there are some who felt a little bit embarrassed that they had to keep going back to the same thing rather than having Rockstar bless them with the news that GTA 6 was coming out, 5 years ago. But it would seem that Rockstar is going to satisfy that urge for all those fans later this year. That is, if we don't get the very scary word to those Rockstar fans, delay. I hope that doesn't happen for them, but anything's possible. This is the modern era of gaming, by the way. This next possibility is from a studio I actually really like. But after their latest entry, even I can't deny they might soon fall into this category. That is basically all the recent Bethesda titles. I love Skyrim, Fallout 3, Oblivion, even Fallout 4 to an extent. But with Fallout 76 being the disaster that it was at launch, and Starfield just kind of being lackluster, I can't help but think there are those fans who have been Stockholm syndromed into constantly playing these Bethesda titles. There are those people who are willing to look past all the flaws and just play the game for how it is, and I respect that. I can do that to an extent as well, going back to some of their older titles. But all it takes with their newer titles is just a quick playthrough to see, wow, these new games of Bethesda are really outdated. Especially with the competition of recent games like Elden Ring, other games of that magnitude that we've been getting that have just kind of been putting Bethesda out of their top spot at the top of the gaming world. But regardless, there are those fans who will shamelessly keep diving back into their games no matter what. This next group owns a large portion of video game fans and has them held by the balls and will not let go. And that is the endless amount of sports games out there. Big two I want to mention in this section are Madden and 2K. Now, you are talking to an American football fan. I played it all the way through high school and college. Now I coach at a Division I FBS level. So with that, it insults me, and I mean insults me, how disrespectful EA is to the game of football in their Madden franchise. They have been using the same engine for years that will do the most unrealistic things. To anyone who has played or watched the game of football, some of these things that you will see happen with these players is beyond logic, and it blows my mind. And each new entry, you can see places where they have just said Control C and Control V, and gained another $1 billion. Yet, as American football fans, we have no better options than EA for simulation American football. So, there are millions of players who buy the newest entry each year, probably feeling a little dirty each time they do it, because EA isn't trying to do better for you. They're going to stay the same way. 2K is no better. You have a group of 2K fans in this world who I swear have never heard of another game. Similar with Madden, these games are largely the same every year, with very few improvements. Although many people keep playing these games, I can't help but think some of these fans do feel ashamed at times for playing these terrible, terrible sports simulation games. Remember, you can do better. You deserve better. She's just not that worth it, dude. So what are my gaming guilty pleasures? Yes, I am not immune to this, as I will highlight a couple of franchises that make me fall into that bottomless pit as well. The first one, and this is probably the same for many people out there, would have to be Call of Duty. It's a specific reason why I didn't mention it before in this video. It's because I was saving it for my own guiltiness. Now, I am kind of proud that I only tried BO7 for about 2 months before I realized I just wasn't that interested. That is huge for me. Similar to an alcoholic choosing to only get drunk for 6 days a week instead of 7, I consider this to be a huge achievement. But with many previous titles, I have bought and enjoyed almost all of them. I'm ashamed to say it, but I enjoyed Vanguard. For the multiplayer, not the zombies or the campaign. No. We don't speak about that. That didn't exist, didn't happen. It was a bad dream. We were hooked on ecstasy, whatever you want to say, it didn't happen. But the multiplayer I really liked. I actually had a good time with it. But you see my point. I am obsessed with the fun this franchise provides me. When I go on a long kill streak and I get that sick guitar riff, or I get some kind of cool kill streak that I'm going to rain terror on everyone, or in the very few times in my life that I've gotten a nuke, the absolute elation that I feel from getting that. It's just hard to match in other games. I am ashamed to say it. I wish that I could get away from that, because every year I hear people saying like, oh, this Call of Duty sucks. And I'm like, yeah, I see it. I see the trailers. It kind of does suck. But at the same time, why can't I take my hands off the controller? Somebody please help me. I need help. I need to get away from this game because it won't let me. I'm glued to my screen. I need to play this game. And that goes for Warzone. That goes for the multiplayers. I am a Call of Duty fan. You know, I would say I am super ashamed of it. I am to an extent. All that I am is holding out hope that one day we will get back to somewhat of the glory days of COD. That's my only hope. My other guilty pleasure, and I am truly ashamed to fall back into this so often, requires a bit of recap, bit of story time for you. So let me set the stage. For all my fans outside of the US, in the United States, we love American football. Once the Super Bowl ends, which is around February, there is no more American football until August. That is not counting the UFL, USFL, whatever you want to call it, the semi-pro league, but not a lot of people are super into that. I am included. I don't watch it that much. In America, we call this period of television the dark times. Sure, there's basketball and baseball, which do provide entertainment. Don't get me wrong. But American football will always be number one in this country. It's just the way it is. However, during this time, when American football ends, there is another sport that is very popular in basically everywhere else in the world, right? And its season is hitting its climax around this same time. Yes, you guessed it. It's football. For my American audiences, football soccer is what I mean. You probably guessed it. My biggest guilty pleasure is FC/FIFA/ whatever you want to call it these days, right? Every year in the fall, I tell myself I will not buy the next FC game. And through fall, I don't, because I'm in the middle of American football season. I'm in the middle of watching, coaching, doing all that stuff, and I'm having a blast. Not even thinking about it. Not even thinking about the game at all. But once that season ends, I always find myself in the same spot. I'm happy to say I don't spend any money to get packs on this game, but that doesn't change how much I enjoy playing the Ultimate Team experience in these games. It's just so fun to hit the perfect skill move and score a nice goal online against an opponent. I mean, it's just so much fun to do that for me. Gives me that dopamine that I need. Why am I so ashamed of this game? For the same reasons as Madden and 2K, I guess. Everyone knows it's basically the same game every year. And the games magically seem to get worse and worse with each new entry. But I, like many others, keep falling into the same trap. Man, I really don't like EA sometimes, you know? You know the feeling? But yeah, I'm just like all of you. I have my guilty pleasures. I'm ashamed of them to an extent, but at the same time, when I'm playing them, I can't get enough. I'm ashamed to admit, after I record this video, I am hopping onto FC26 and going to try and improve my team by doing some stupid squad building challenge or trying to get further up in division rivals. It's gonna happen. But that's my guilty pleasures. What I want to hear now are some of yours. I gave you some examples of things that could be guilty pleasures in this. Some of you might not consider them guilty pleasures, others might. Then there are other people who have guilty pleasures that I may not have listed. And for those people, I invite you, please, put those guilty pleasures that you have in gaming down below in the comments. I would love to hear about them. I'd love to learn more about this topic because for me, it's something that I deal with on a yearly basis. Can't get enough of it, and I wish I could, but I know I'm not the only one. So I want to hear from you. I want to hear what experiences you guys have with games like this, or maybe it's these games exactly. Tell me what your experiences are in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, feel free to like and subscribe down below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.